I saw the play myself and didn't just read about it or hear from it from a friend. I stayed for the entire play and didn't leave early. I completed this response on my own without using anyone else's words or ideas. I would sum up my reaction with engaged, entertained, and amazed. I chose the first word because, despite sweat, I was paying attention the entire play, never growing bored and actively interested in the plot. I also decided on entertained because I thoroughly enjoyed not only the plot and characters, but the way the characters were portrayed, their mannerisms and costume designs. And ended with amazed because my jaw genuinely dropped a few times for various reasons, from the set to some of the actors' emotion to their vocal abilities. The music was written by Cole Porter, and the book was written by Guy Bullen and P.G. Wodehouse. I think comedy best fits this show, because more often than not, the characters had a humorous intent behind their words and actions, despite there still being moments of emotion. Well, as for who the protagonist was, if I used the same logic as I did for Sweat, I would be inclined to say Reno, because she was the final character to bow. However, I thoroughly enjoyed the implication that there were two protagonists, both Reno and Billy's stories. For example, throughout the play, Billy was fighting for Hope's love and hand marriage. Meanwhile, Reno was specifically focused on breaking Hope and Evelyn's engagement. Originally, it was to help Billy in his endeavors, but then coincided with her own intentions as she fell in love with Evelyn. I think the climax of the story is when Billy and Martin crashed the wedding, ending in 3 different couples being wed, none being the original intended couple. Speaking of this scene, the music that was played during it really stood out to me, because I noticed it was a reprise from an earlier song that Billy and Hope shared while he tried to convince her to break off her engagement to be with him, as if signaling how they had finally achieved their earlier endeavors. As for language, I noticed Martin's dialogue and speaking mannerisms were quite different compared to other characters. His words were sometimes awkward and often didn't make complete sense, emphasizing him pretending to be someone he wasn't. And then it would cut to him being quite vulgar about shooting someone or something. The director is named Tommy Iafrate, and the play took place on a proscenium stage. The cast did very well embodying the roles, especially the characters with more screen time, because I genuinely believe that they were the characters they were portraying. I also think the cast as a whole worked very well with each other, especially because this is a play that requires every character to have a companion at some point. It was a pretty diverse group of people, both gender and race-wise, plus the 2 animals. A particular staging moment I noticed was during the climax of the play, with the 3 couples standing variously on the stage with everyone else residing on the boat behind them. It made the moment effective because it emphasized the 2 couples that were actually in love on opposite sides of the stage, finally split from who they were originally being forced to marry. Plus Eli and Evangelion in the middle of the stage, acting as a wall or a barrier source between the 2 couples, representing how Hope and Evelyn were finally separated from each other. I really enjoyed Jesse Findling's acting, who was cast as Moon-Faced Martin. I was very impressed at the beginning of the play, because the actor was pretending to be a character on stage who was pretending to be someone else while also pretending to be bad at acting. It's very convoluted and something I find difficult to do. It also had a specific accent throughout the entire play that added a comedic element about the character. Plus, there was a quick change Martin had during a short blackout between scenes, with several articles of clothing, both what he was wearing originally and the outfit he had changed into, and it amazed me how quickly he did it. The first thing that made me fall in love with his character was when he went on a little mission to steal a rich man's glasses. Martin convinced him to look into his fedora, smack the back of his head to make his glasses fall into it, and then successfully gaslit the man into thinking he didn't touch them, didn't know where the glasses went, confirmed he didn't have another pair, and then left without a care. The actor was very fluid on stage, making it appear as if he were watching a comedic timing cartoon. His voice was loud, as if distracting the other man's minds and thoughts, and putting his own words into his mind to show how convincing he is. My jaw dropped, laughing how smooth and well he swiftly entered, stole the glasses, and left. The other man still convinced he didn't do anything. The second scene that I specifically enjoyed with him on stage was somewhere in the middle of the play, where he had abandoned helping Billy so they could enter a shooting contest. He became very visibly excited and ran swiftly off stage for a few minutes, until eventually his loud, happy voice was heard as he interrupted those on stage, visibly excited while holding his gun in one hand and cash in the other, the prize pool. I had to cover my mouth because of how loud I was laughing at his shocking reintroduction on stage, which was a complete contrast to the inner turmoil otherwise being demonstrated by other characters present. One of the costume designers is Devin Painter. The overall color palette was often white with a light blue or black, signaling that many of them were members of a ship. The overall period of the costumes felt about like mid-1900s. There were various base costumes, like how all the sailors shared the same outfit, and how the captain never changes out of her uniform. One big picture choice was how the majority of characters had very bland colors. Meanwhile, Reno would have bright and vibrant colors standing amongst the crowd. At the end of the show, when Martin and Billy escape from prison, it's implied they change out of their suits and into the thieves' clothes. Soon after, they're seen on stage in old, sewn-together rags, with various colors and textures. I think they made this specific choice because it really shows how the clothes were seemingly strung together. Also, in the second half of the play, when Reno was having a performance of sorts on board, she was in a bold, bright red tight dress, showing off her features. I believe they made this choice because she naturally stands out, free from the otherwise usual costume color palette. The artists together as a whole worked very well together. The costumes matched the color of the set, and the lights matched the actors on stage. Overall, it made it seem like this whole little world on this ship had come to life. The artists wanted the audience to feel the love blossom between the two main couples, despite the circumstances and original feelings. I was personally shocked to see Reno actually fell for Evelyn and vice versa, because almost always the main female character ends up running back to the main male character. But this play wasn't like that. Instead, it added another couple that slowly fell in love throughout the play.